Hi there, it's Sam, and in this tutorial I'll show you how to create shoppable images with the tooltip element and trigger an overlay containing a complete product buy box. And of course, all without code and in a matter of minutes. So with that said, let's get into it. Right here we have an image with a white border, and I want to turn this image into a shoppable product image. So the first step is to go to the insert panel and add the tooltip element. So under interactive we can find this element, and now let's drag and drop it onto our canvas. As you can see, it snaps to the top left corner, and we could influence the position of the tooltip by playing around with the distribute and alignment settings. So now it's set to the center, but for pixel perfect positioning, we should select the tooltip container and change the position from relative to absolute. This way we have complete freedom to place this element anywhere we want without interfering with the position of other elements. So let's set it to the default of the bottom right corner, and then we add 390 pixels to the right and 190 pixels to the bottom. Now let's preview, and as you can see, when we hover over this element, a tooltip appears with text, and of course this is what we will customize. So now let's exit the preview and zoom in a little bit so we get a good view of the tooltip and start customizing. The first thing is selecting the trigger, and then for the trigger we will add a fill color. The fill color will be white with a opacity of 30%. Then we add a border, again the white color, and we add a radius of 99, so this trigger is nice and round. Now let's make the trigger a little bit bigger, and we do this by changing the inside spacing from 4 to 8. And this is regarding the space that exists between the border and the icon within. So let's change it to 8, and as you can see, the tooltip becomes bigger. Now let's select the icon, then we change the icon to a circle, we change the color to white, and here we have the beginnings of our beautiful tooltip. Last but not least, let's make the icon a little bit bigger, so we change the width to 20 and the height to 20, and there we have it. Now let's add an effect to the tooltip. So we select the trigger again, as you can see from the layer panel. Then we head over to interactions, and as you can see, there's already an effect by default, which is an active effect. So whenever the trigger is active, something will happen. And what we want to occur is change the fill color to this branded fill color, set the opacity again to 30, and as you can see, the color of the icon also changed. So let's quickly select the icon, head over to interactions, and then delete this effect so the icon remains white whenever it's active. So we've done it. Now let's preview, and when we hover over this tooltip, the fill color becomes blue, the icon remains white, and we've just created a very nice hover effect. Now let's exit the preview again and continue customizing. We select the tooltip layer right here, then the tooltip appears, and what we want to have within this tooltip is not just this basic text element, but I want to showcase our product image, product title, product price, and a CTA that will open up a pop-up with the full product buy box. So first things first, let's change the offset. The offset is the space that exists between the tooltip and the trigger. Currently it's set to 2, but let's change it to 12 so there's a bit more distance. And we can also play with the anchor and align. Currently the tooltip opens above the trigger, not below or to the left. Above is what we want, and the alignment is also set to the center. We can also put it to the right and to the left, but the center will work just fine. Now let's give this tooltip a different color. So we change the fill to white, and we set the opacity to 80%, so it's slightly see-through. And then we give this tooltip a width of 350 pixels. There we go, and a height of 150. There we have it. Now let's delete this text element, and now we drag in another element. And to be specific, we will drag in 2 columns. There we go. The minimum height of these columns is set to 200, which is larger than the tooltip. So let's delete that and then set the height to fill, so it fills up all the space that is available. There's quite some space between these 2 columns, so let's change that to 8, the gap. There we go. And now we can start to customize this a little bit more. So what we will do is drag in an image to the row on the left and drag in our product information to the right. So let's start with the image. Within the insert panel, we can find the image element. We drag it in, we set the height to fill as well. And now what we have to do is actually connect this tooltip to one of our Shopify products so we can easily show all of our Shopify content. The tooltip layer is selected, and then we open up the Shopify content tab and we connect it to one of our products, in this case our grill pan. And now what we have to do is go back to our image and then make sure it's showing our Shopify content. We can choose which image to show, but the featured image right here will be perfect. Next up, I want to add a radius of 4 to the image, so we create these nice and round corners, which we also see on the tooltip. And when we do that, we still see a white color behind it. And that's because this row still has a fill color. So let's delete it. And there we have it. Now let's focus on the row on the right. The first thing, let's delete the fill color as well. And then within this row, we will actually drag in another row. And then within this row, we will drag in the product title and product price. So under product, we can find the product title, which will automatically showcase our product title and also our product price. There's also a before price right here, but we don't need it. Now we select the row, we delete the minimum height, and let's customize these text elements a little bit. So the font can be Gothic A1. We change it to 16 and regular. Then for the price, also select the right font, which is Gothic A1. Change this to size 14 and regular as well. As you can see, there's quite some space between these 2 elements within the row. That's because there's a gap of 32. Let's change this to 6, and there we have it. Within this sort of base row on the right, let's drag in another text element, and this text element will say view product and will then trigger the overlay. So this should say view product. The text layer is selected. Let's change the font to Gothic as well. The color to black, and then set the font weight to bold. There we have it. And now let's distribute these 2 elements in the right way so they both snap to the bottom and the top. We do that by selecting the row that contains both layers. Scroll down and we set the distribute to equal space between, and there we have it. Now let's zoom out a little bit more, and as you can see, this is starting to look really, really good. With the view product text element, we want to trigger an overlay. But before we do that, I want to create a hover effect so it's more clear that you can click on this text element. So the view product text element is selected. We head over to interactions, and under effects, we add a hover effect. Then we add a property, which will be the accent. And then we select this option right here. Now, when we preview, you will see that whenever we hover over this text element, the line underneath appears, and that's exactly what we want. We exit the preview again, and now from this view product text element, let's trigger an overlay. So I've already created an overlay, as you can see right here, and this overlay is connected to the same product and contains a product gallery with thumbnails, the price, reviews, title, product description, and the different variants we have for this product. So in order to trigger this, we select the text element, head back to interactions, and then we add a action, and this will be toggle overlay. Then we select the overlay. In this case, it's called overlay, so we select that one. And now when we preview, first of all, the tooltip opens, we hover over the view product element, and then the overlay is triggered. And that's exactly what we want, and that also brings us to the end of this tutorial. So I hope you have a good understanding on how you can turn images on your store into shoppable images with the tooltip element. Thanks a lot for watching, and stay tuned for more product updates.